Hey gamers, Lord Arcane here. My family's been has picked up this game. We've been playing it for a couple weeks now. It's named Timberborn. It's about, well, humanity destroyed itself and sentient beavers have now taken over. And they're building up their society from scratch. And this game is, getting established for a new society. I figure I'll go through a series of videos. The first one's going to be just basics of gameplay, walk through the tutorial as it were. I'll give you a little insight on why things are important and some of the things you might want to change. Things along that line. Just kind of as I go through it. So this shouldn't take too terribly long, probably about half an hour max. But let's get rolling on it. If you have any questions, ask in the comments. We've been enjoying the game like crazy since we picked it up a few weeks ago. So here we go. Here's your basic menu. We happen to play on Steam. I imagine the interface is going to be identical everywhere, but mild disclaimer just in case. So you go in here and you got your basic new game. Obviously a great place to start, right? The first thing you got is these two little adorable characters, the Iron Teeth and the Folktales. You can't start with the Iron Teeth. You have to earn them by getting some happiness points with the Folktales. So we'll start with a game of Folktales. Next screen you got is you choose your map. Plains is a real good, easy starting map, so I'm going to recommend it. If you're not familiar with it, I've played on most of these, if not all of them, actually. At least got my feet wet, as it were. So let's go with Plains, just because it's the recommended, and walk you through that. Now we're going to start off on basic default speed. Takes a second for it to generate that. We're going to go easy and get the ball rolling. So first thing you've got, building society of beavers with a game named Timberborn. Wood's going to be your first real big resource you're going to need. Food is going to be another resource. Hungry beavers or dead beavers. Water is going to be another resource. Those are your initial three resources to focus on. So the first quest is going to give me, first several quests I should say, are focused on that. Set up some camps, connect them to the pathways so my workers can find them. Tell them what to chop down. Get some water established so that they can do that. Your biggest adversary in Timberborn, there's actually two of them. The number one obvious one is the drought, which comes up, and then the second one that you're going to run across is yourself. More on that later. I'll explain it. Okay, so let's name this basic village starter just for kicks. I'm not creative today. Okay, and you can see down here our quest. Welcome to this tutorial. Place your lumberjack flags, right? So here's starter, and my little beavers poke their heads out. And the lumberjack flag, you'll notice my wood button blinking, is right here. So let's build a couple of lumberjack flags near the, trees. Big surprise there. Now we need to connect the paths. Here I'll continue so you can follow along in your book. There's your path. Now they can start building it because they know how to get there. Now they can start building it because they know how to get there. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead, and this is something they don't cover in this. For now, I'm going to give the main base. This is where your builders and your haulers originally start from. I'm going to give them a few more hired people because they got people standing around. Now it's complaining, after I build a second flag here, anyway, I will in a second, and I need to tell them what to chop down, kind of like I alluded to. So you go down here to the cut trees option, click on where to mark your trees, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this whole area. They're not going to cut it right away, but they will eventually. So I'm highlighting some area in advance. All right, here they go. Now the second flag's built. Connect them, like I said. Mark your trees for cutting. All right, they're busy. Okay, now we need a water pump because beavers are thirsty, where they will be. So I'm going to connect that. It has to be on the water. You can see where it's got a pump side on one side and our spots. We'll call it pump side. And an entryway. So you have to connect your entryway, and that's true of these flags as well, to your path. Now my beavers will take the wood that they're chopping down and go and build their water pump. Now this is where I'm going to plan ahead a little bit. Follow along in your book when we get to it. I'm going to go ahead and mark some path this direction as well. Okay, and part of it is because I want to harvest these blueberries for food. It'll show up here in a second. Part of it is because I want to remove this obstacle here because it'll allow water in here. Now, let's go ahead and demolish that. I'm going to pause it when he actually demolishes it, or gets close to demolishing it. and show you what happens. Okay, pausing it for a second here. I'm going to put this berry bush here. You can see how you see the green line as I connected it. You know, that shows you that it is connected and is functional. So here you're just going to destroy this obstacle, and this is going to fill with water. But what I want to show you is this area here. Okay, they don't work very fast when you're slow speed. So watch up here as he finishes destroying that. And you are now, beaver. Here you go. Okay, so the water creeps in. It's not an instantaneous thing. But watch how this is all turning green. This is important, okay? Your lumber and your food only grow where there's green. Okay, they don't grow in the brown stuff. So we'll use the brown stuff for something else in a bit. But that's why that's critical, to know what you've got access to. Okay? Now, I've got a beaver here picking berries. Okay, at the gathering flag. He'll gather a few other things in different places, but the berries are the big one right now. And that's a basic food source. As soon as this water pump's built, it'll tell me to do, well, that and a few other things. So we'll let it happen. We're going to speed it up a little bit here. Speed 2, you can push 2 on the number pad and speeds it up. Spacebar pauses it. 1 slows it back down to slow speed. Okay, 3 is turbo speed. When you're waiting for things to be built, turbo speed can be a lot of fun. Okay, so my water pump's built. Now my gatherer flag right there. Okay, connected my gatherer flag. Now what's a farmhouse? Okay, farmhouse is going to be a food item. So I connect it and build it there. Now farmhouses, I want to build a farmhouse where I can grow crops. Okay, this area here, I can grow a lot of crops on. You see he's got a green line kind of following around, the highlighted area. That's where he can access if I were to build the building right there. I have to have it on a pathway. I'm going to go ahead and put it here. I'm not going to put it up against the wall here because I want to build a path past that later. So I'm going to build it here. Okay, and it's going to need a couple employees, which we'll get to in a second. Okay, my gathering post has got an employee. Musashi. Okay, they names all the beavers for you. Some of them are quite entertaining. There's my house, and then my farmers are going to want to have orders to plant food, plant crops. So your basic default crop is carrots. Okay, it's not going to be what you do all the time, but it's a great, steady, easy to harvest food. It grows quickly. Okay, but the berries are tied over until carrots get done. So here they go. Oh, well, I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm going to show you this. This is your happiness. Okay, your well-being. So I don't have any hungry beavers. Hooray, that's good. I don't have any thirsty beavers. Hooray, that's good. I don't have any sleep-deprived beavers. Hooray, that's good. I don't have any shelter yet either. You'll set to 0. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Carrots is one of the things they like. Other foods, you've got potatoes, but they have to be grilled. They don't like raw potatoes. Bread, which naturally involves wheat. Chestnuts, again, have to be grilled. They don't eat raw chestnuts. Cattail crackers, grilled spatter dock, and maple pastries. Okay. Carrots are easy, but grilled potatoes and grilled chestnuts aren't particularly hard. Bread takes a little while to get to. The grilled crackers, or grilled spatterdock and cattail crackers, those will take a while because of the resources you need. And then maple's going to take you quite a while. Okay? But that's your basics. So I'll close that window just by hitting the X. Unpause my beavers. Here's your turbo speed, just so you can put it in perspective. You know, you can zoom into the beavers pretty close and watch them actually work. He's a lazy beaver. Yeah, you can only do so much. If he doesn't have wood to haul, for example, he can't haul wood. If he doesn't have berries to haul, or anywhere to haul them, he can't haul berries. Okay, now, here's the poor beavers. They don't have a house yet. So you'll notice they're just kind of running around going, well, what do I do with my life? Until they just kind of pass out from exhaustion. And then they'll get their sleep and then find it up in the morning. So don't panic too much. I'm not killing my beavers yet. Yeah, I try not to. But sometimes they'll die from all sorts of things. Getting stranded, starving to death, water, when droughts hit, things like that. Okay, so I've got my pump going. I don't have anywhere to store the water. Building my farmhouse, don't have anywhere to store food. So the next thing it's going to ask me for is storage. After I plant my carrots. Okay, storage. So here's your basic storage. Log pile is where do I put the wood? I'm going to put the wood right next to the log builder so there's less travel time for that. I'm going to put the warehouse over here next to the food, same mentality. Now, eventually we're going to be using a lot of space, so you kind of roll with the punches a bit there. Then the water pumps are in the water table here, or the water tanks rather, in the water table here. So we're going to go ahead and spit out a few of those, and we'll put them, we'll put them right next to the base. Yeah, kind of the central area. At the end of the day, they're all going to swing by, pick up food, they're all going to swing by, pick up water, and call it a day. Okay, so those will build, that'll take a little while. It's going to next ask me to build houses for my poor beavers that are, homeless. Nothing worse than a homeless beaver. So we'll build some houses. It's going to want me to build 6 of them. You can do a few different things with these, and we're going to be creative. We're going to put them, because they can be built, and this is true of actually any of the buildings, they can be built on non-green space, which is kind of premium when you're getting to the point where you need to get your food. More beavers and more food, etc., etc. So we're going to build them up against this ground here. Get them out of the way. There's a reason for that as well, because eventually, because they have this sturdy tag on them, solid tag on them, you can build things on top of them. We'll get to that later. The warehouse also has this solid tag, but those are so far the only buildings that we've got to do it. Okay, now we'll have to connect those via the road, because beavers can't figure out how to get home. And we shall do so like this. Okay. Now, in another video, I'm going to build my houses a bit differently intentionally. But for now, that'll get me started. Now, I have 1 beaver working on the farm. That's not enough. So I'm going to go back to my headquarters, my district center, and fire one of the beavers from there so he goes and works for the farm. That way I can grow my crops better, I can harvest my crops better, with no harm, no foul. Okay? As I said, the next thing is building your lodges, your houses. And there's my 6. Okay? Now, you'll notice I have a population of 11 beavers. Right now, they're all homeless, poor guys. In these houses, you can fit 3 different people. Let me go back to the housing menu to build them. You can see where it says inhabitants 3 right there on the bottom. Okay? You've got door on the left, door on the right. That's about the difference between those 2 buildings there. Okay, other buildings you'll have to research. We'll get to research here shortly. But where you've got 11 beavers, you need at least 4 houses to do that. 4 houses, 3 beavers a house, that's 12. So there's a little bit of gross room. Having housing just about 50% higher than the total number of beavers you have will give them plenty of time to grow, or plenty of space to grow, because there'll be 2 beavers per house rather than 3. And, well, your beavers can get their nocturnal activities on. Okay, now it's one thing that's interesting to note. There are distinct differences between the 2 factions of beavers. These beavers are nature-loving, fun-friendly beavers. The other beavers, the iron beavers, you actually vat grow their young. So housing's a little bit different as far as your needs on that one. But in these cases, you need to have 3 rooms. In either case, actually, to have children. And the children take a little while to grow up. I'm going to go ahead and build this road out like I talked about. And I'm going to show you why. And that is because of this right here. These are natural stairs up. Otherwise, you'll have to learn how to build the stairs, and that's going to take time. So there we go. Put a path in there so they're natural stairs up. And I'm going to have them start as soon as I have, I have unemployed beavers. Let's get them to work on another wood harvest area. So I'm going to put that there. Stairs naturally are parts of roads, but the roads themselves are not. So place your path there. Make him happy. He goes, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? We'll highlight some more trees up here. These are dead wood. They're never going to grow back, but they're easy to harvest. Gives them a source of wood, but you can't replace that. And then these, of course, are on brown or on green area, like I said. So they're premium area. We're going to harvest those as well, and let them go to work. Okay, again, I've got it on speed 3, so you can see the progress. If I slow it back down to typical speed, my beavers don't walk particularly fast. And either way is okay. I'm going to speed it up for the tutorials. Yeah, make this a little faster. You know, I appreciate your time. I don't want to use too much of it. Okay, so now this beaver's harvesting. These beavers are harvesting, not at night. Everybody takes a day off. Are harvesting wood, and your wood is going to your log pile. It'll store up to 180 wood for your basic log pile, and each of the flags will hold up to 20 wood. So if you look at that, I got 180 wood, 20 wood's 200, another 2 flags, 240 wood is my total maximum amount of wood. That sounds great until we have to deal with our next obstacle. Okay, for that, we're going to look at the water flow. Hopefully you can see it on my screen, but you can see the water moving on the river. Now, if the water is stopped or a drought hits, you're not going to have water flow. If it's not, then you will. Now, what I was trying to point out that I'm not sure you can see is that the current is different in each area. The next thing it's going to ask me to build is going to be a waterway, right here. So I'm going to put that where a good current is, right there. Now you'll notice it's not connected to anything, so it's going to be complaining. That's okay. Okay. Build my houses, now it wants me to build an inventor, sorry. Before I build my water wheel, it wants me to build an inventor. There's a reason for that order. Actually, the inventor is going to take time to get anything done. So I'm going to build an inventor, but I'm going to put them up here, a little out of the way, because it's brown ground. I don't need it to be on green ground. And I'll need the green ground later for crops. Okay, so I'm going to set that as a higher priority, so that it builds my inventor while waiting for my water wheel. Nothing I'm doing with the water wheel involves needing anything invented, but shortly after that it will. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this on a road, and I'll show you why in a minute. And I'm going to actually tell them to chop down these trees when they can as well. Okay? Now these, you'll notice everything has a range. So this harvester here, this lumberjack, will go to most of these trees and won't catch the farthest ones. This one will catch the bottom several or the farthest ones. And this one, well, he's way out in left field. He's not going to go anywhere. There's going to be a few trees I miss. I'm actually going to build another lumberjack, you know, but I'll have to pause these from time to time and set priorities. I don't have enough unemployed beavers at this point. See, oh, there's my happiness 5. All right, so let's look at what makes me happy now. I've got them all hungered, you know, all fed, all watered, all sleeping, all in houses, and they all have carrots to eat. Hooray for me. Happy beavers. Okay? Now you notice also that I've got 2 children beavers now. So my population of 11 has become population 13. It takes about 5 days for your children to grow up. There are benefits to being a beaver on that one. I have a 17-year-old. It takes, you know, a lot more than 5 days. Okay, so I've got my inventor here working, and I have somebody working at it, and they are earning invention technology points, basically, science points, and at about 3 every 3.1 hours. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy. They're working. Now they're building my water wheel next, because that's what's next on my to-do list. Okay, you have to be very careful not to build too far in advance of what you need your beavers to do, because you can block them from completing projects. It's easy to actually block them. They can't walk around a lot of buildings. Like if I were to put this building here and have it completed before the water wheel is completed, then they would be able to finish the water wheel. So this is the next building that's going to ask me for the lumber mill. The lumber mill makes planks from these logs, and it's going to need power, which is hence the water wheel to connect to the water mill, or that wood lumber mill. You ever had one of those days where the words just don't come out right? And we get to work. I'm going to set this as a, I don't have anybody to work in, so I'm not going to really worry about high priority, but let's go ahead and set it to high priority. Let's get this done so we can get harvesting these trees here. You know, they can go ahead and fire one of those beavers. And there's my water wheel. Okay, now it's going to ask me for the lumber mill and to power the lumber mill. Now, your lumber mill doesn't necessarily have to be right on the water, next to your water wheel. But if it is, it's easier to power. So I'm going to build it right next to the water wheel. And of course, it's going to need a pathway to it. So, ba-bam-bam-ba-da. Now, as soon as that's built, the lumber mill will need an employee, so I'll have to reshuffle my employees a little bit. Unless my 2 children grow up, but I don't think that will be the case. Okay, so these 2 lumber mills, or lumberjacks, have done a good job of cutting down the trees here. These final trees are still growing, so you haven't cut them down yet. That's why there's these pockets. And then they work from whatever's closest to them that's a complete tree, or for that matter, a berry bush, whatever's closest to the flags, away from it, in priority of what they can do, because less time walking is more time being productive. Okay, there you go. There's our lumber mill. I do not have an employee, so I need to fire somebody from somewhere. Let's go ahead and shut down. Let's shut down here for a minute. So we can go ahead and pause him. You click on the flag, click the pause button. It says, oh, well, you're not needed there, but you are needed here. So now he's moved over here. He's chopping down these trees. Or rather, he's moved to the bottom of the cutting down trees. Okay? I strongly recommend you build your powered buildings near each other, and there's a reason for that. Buildings that are adjacent transfer power across each other. You can transfer power via power lines. I use the term line because I'm out of wood. As you can see here, these are power intersections. And power shaft turn, power shaft straight, etc. to move power around. But it's just more resources. Okay? Now I got to build a forester. Can't build a forester yet because I need the science. That's why you want to build the science a little earlier. If I had unemployed beavers, I would probably put up another science, another inventor. I don't quite have that. So I'll hold off. And besides, I'm just about done with the science anyway. And they're going to need planks, which I have 3. You'll need 7 of them to build your forester. So it's not going to matter quite too much right yet. The forester serves a very, very critical function. And it's why the tutorial goes to that point. If you don't have people planting trees, you soon run out of trees. So make sure you get yourself a forester. Okay? And I'd put it, again, it has to be on green ground because it won't grow on brown ground. And they can cover quite a wide area. So now that I've got 60 science there, I will go ahead. You see it requires 60 science. Click on it, and it allows me to open it up for 60 science. I'm going to put it right next to this lumberjack post. And it's going to build the building. That's going to take a couple days because I need planks, as I said. And then my forester is going to ask me what to do with his life. Yeah, everybody needs a little more direction. And in their case, they're planting trees and bushes. I could plant more bushes if I wanted to, but the blueberries are not a preferred source of food for the beavers, so I tend to let that go. If you're running your iron beavers, it's more important because their life expectancy, well, the creation of young in the iron beavers requires berries and water. So you got to plan that. Now you'll notice it wants me to plant pine trees, and the pine trees button is blinking at me. So just like most of your other tools, you click on that, and feel free to paintbrush a bit. Okay, and I'm going to paintbrush a lot. Okay, pine trees are a very good basic resource. They grow quickly. They're okay for harvesting, but they're also not efficient for the forester because they take time to plant the trees, and then they have to replant them every time they cut down. So your most effective, I've noticed, is maple. And maple serves another purpose later. So I'm actually going to plant the pine trees to make it happy. It'll give me the big message, hooray, you finished the tutorial. But I'd also recommend planting some maple. So I'm going to plant some maple real quick out here as well. But we've got very few pockets of maple that I can plant right now because we've got these trees. They're still growing in the way, these old pines. So there's some maples to get started. And we'll call that done for the tutorial. If you have any questions, leave me comments and I'll do what I can. Talk to you later.